Good evening and welcome to 1010, your top 10 news in 10 minutes. I'm Andy Hung. As you can tell, videos will be uploaded on Saturday from now on. And sorry for last week, our technology derped. Major derp to make up for the epic fail. Let's dive right into this week's news. The Middle East has been an active powder keg for most of the 20th and 21st century, and this past week's attacks were a testament to the volatile nature of the regional politics. We have plenty to talk about Iraq alone, even without the mentioning of the consulate shootings in Libya or Saudi Arabia's bombing campaign against Yemen. Yesterday, a suicide car bomb attack in the Kurdish Iraqi city of Erbil killed an estimated 4 and injured 18 in an attempt to bomb the U.S. consulate in the relatively safer city. No consulate personnel were killed. The Kurdish autonomous government reacted promptly and secured the area immediately. ISIS claimed responsibility for the attack. On the same day, a security operation conducted by Iraqi government and Shia militia forces claimed to result in the killing of Izzat Ibrahim al-Duri, who was Saddam Hussein's right-hand man before the American invasions and major insurgent leader in recent years. We are yet to have any DNA confirmation. Homegrown terror plots are also problematic in this day and age. 5 Australian teenagers have been arrested for attempting an ISIS-inspired attack on the World War I memorial in Melbourne next week. The attack would have been significant as next week would be the annual Anzac Day celebrations where people recognize the sacrifices of the Australian and New Zealand servicemen and women. The event also coincides with the 100th anniversary of the World War I Battle of Gallipoli, a disastrous defeat for Commonwealth forces against the Ottomans. The Australian terror threat level has been raised to high since last September, and Prime Minister Tony Abbott followed through with numerous anti-terror raids across the nation to counter the threat. Another former Commonwealth nation, South Africa, is facing some serious conflict due to a wave of widespread xenophobia, a fear of foreigners. Mobs have attacked shops and businesses held by foreigners and killed, according to CNN, at least 6 people last week alone. According to the United Nations, the attacks began last month as a result of a labor dispute between domestic and foreign workers, a touchy subject as the nation suffers from a 25% unemployment rate and a history of xenophobic uprisings in 2006, 2008, and as recent as just 3 months ago. Most victims are from Nigeria, Somalia, and Ethiopia, but many other nations have condemned the violence. The police force is suppressing violence with violence, but we all know how effective that'll be. Saudi Arabia is stirring up some more trouble in the international community by executing 2 Indonesian maids without heeding to protests from the Indonesian government. One of them was convicted of killing her employer's then 4-year-old child, and the other of killing her employer's wife. Now there are calls for Indonesia to follow Saudi Arabia and execute its own foreigners in death row. Argentina is scratching some old scabs by suing British and American oil companies for drilling near the Falkland Islands, known locally as the Malvinas. According to Daniel Filmus, the Argentinian minister for the islands are as much Argentinian as the center of Buenos Aires. Neither the UK nor any other country would allow anyone to enter their territory and take away their riches. In response, UK Foreign Minister Philip Hammond slammed Argentina for violating the sovereignty of the islanders, a statement to which the government of the islands agrees with. Well, to be fair, the islanders are pretty much all of British descent, so it's clear who they're going to side with. The UN ruled in 1982, shortly after the Falklands War, that Argentina, although it inherited the islands from the Spanish royalty in the 1800s, has no jurisdiction whatsoever over the islands. But then again, it's the UN, so ignoring it won't have a lot of consequences. The court case will be quite the fun one to watch, though. There are increasing concerns about domestic security here in the US of A. In Arizona, Mario Valencia managed to steal a rifle from Walmart and fire the weapon even with the safety mechanism on the gun. The following police takedown via police car sparked some controversy, but as the above circumstances were released to the public, the officer was justified for his actions. In Washington, D.C., following the numerous fence-jumping incidents in the past year or so, along with the suicide in front of the Capitol building last week, more questions are arising as to the safety of the D.C.'s restricted airspace. A gyrocopter piloted by Doug Hughes flew from Gettysburg to D.C. and landed on the Capitol lawn in a peaceful protest to discuss campaign finance reform. However, he ended up exposing disgusting lapses in security in what is supposed to be one of the most secure airspaces in the world, with thick radar nets and armed to the teeth, with interceptors and anti-air weapons at the ready. Homeland Security is blaming the small size of the aircraft and extremely low altitudes that Hughes was flying in, and that seems to be the case. According to the Washington Post, a German teenager managed to do more or less the same in 1987 with a small plane by flying through Soviet airspace and landing right next to the Kremlin without so much as a scratch. In any case, this incident should give the corrupt Secret Service something to think about, as there are now 4 candidates running for president now that Hillary Clinton joined as the first Democratic Party candidate. But anyways, getting back on topic, in Fresno, California, a gas explosion injured 11. A work crew, including inmates, seemed to have hit a natural gas pipeline with heavy equipment, triggering the explosion. To make things worse, the 200-foot-high fireball caused a 2-alarm grass fire, an especially alarming concern given the extreme drought in California these days. Traffic on nearby highways and railways were shut down temporarily, and the investigation continues. Another fire in Idaho is currently under investigation, but the first responders had a bit of a surprise when they found out that calls coming from inside were from 2 parrots who were saying help and fire. Also, a truck carrying 400 beehives turned over near Seattle, causing millions of them to escape. Honeybees are an endangered species, so this was a pretty major loss, as many had to be killed by water hose when the situation got out of control. Hopefully, those who found freedom are able to lead new lives around the area. A doubtful prospect, as each colony needs a queen bee to survive. In case you've forgotten, next Wednesday is Earth Day, where all of us promote environmental consciousness for one day and out of the entire year, and then proceed to waste away the very next day. President Obama, however, released a video today to make Earth-conscious decisions an everyday event. In the video, according to CBS, he stated that climate change can no longer be denied or ignored. The world is looking for the United States to lead. Hoorah, America. Germany, which gets 74% of the entire nation's energy from renewable sources, is waiting for you to catch up. But it's a nice message that we desperately need, so we'll let it slide for now. For tonight's science news, we have a bit of a salute to an old, unrecognized, but not forgotten friend. While New Horizons has been getting all of the press for its first true color pixelated images of Pluto, Messenger has been silently gathering data on the planet Mercury for the past 4 years. The probe is now down to its last dregs of fuel and will impact the planet's surface at nearly 4 kilometers per second at the end of the month. Johns Hopkins University's Applied Physics Laboratory will do a final maneuver on April 24th. After that, the crushing gravitational force of the sun will bring the craft down. We'll miss you, Messenger. Right in here. Hey, but then the trailers for the new Star Wars movie and the Star Wars Battlefront game came out, so y'all space nerds can stop crying now. And that's the Ten10 news for this week. I'm Andy Hong. Make sure to like us on Facebook and YouTube. And we'll be back next week with more of your top 10 news of the week. Keep studying for APs, unlike me, and stay educated.